All right, so hello everyone. Today we are going to explore our Canvas sandbox and try to take a look at the things that you can accomplish for your micro teaching lesson in the Canvas sandbox. So I plan to go over on how to add modules, how to add content pages, how to add assignments, how to grade and give feedback in Canvas. Also, how to manage the people and the students in your course, whether they are teachers or students or course admins, how to upload files, how to add rubrics to assignments, and how to send out announcements so that your class can stay up to date with what is going on in your course. So you'll notice here on the screen, this is the home page of your Canvas sandbox. And on the left side here, we have a whole bunch of options. So announcements is something I just mentioned that can be used. If you click on that, that can be used to send out messages to your course. We have assignments, which we'll get to creating, as well as discussions, your grades, people, pages, and so on. So first off, let's create a module. So if we go down here, we'll notice that modules is grayed out, but we can click on that. And so I'm going to create a new module because a module is something that can hold your content. So much like Angel, if you had experience with that in the past, had folders, modules essentially take the place of folders and they replace them, and they can be used to hold content. So I am just going to call this module Practice 1. And I will add it. And so you'll see that my module is now up here. Now, like I mentioned, module is a placeholder. It holds content. So we need to then add content to this module. So the first thing we can do here is add a page. And so this will be our content page. And I'm going to add a new one. You can see that I was practicing earlier. But I will add a new one here. So content page for Canvas module 1. And then we have this giant text box. And this is where you can add in your actual content. Up here was your title. This is where you'll place your content. So insert content here. Now, you can do a bunch of things. You can edit the text. You can make it bold or italics or underlined, just like you could do in a basic Word document. So you can form that text however you want. You can also insert links. But one of the things that you may want to do is insert a video. And so there's two different ways that you can do that. And I have a video up and ready over in YouTube that I'm going to insert. So I'm just going to click share. And I can copy over the link and bring it back into my content page. And so when I paste that link in and hit enter, you'll notice this gray box comes up. Now, when I click save, here is your content page. So I have my title up here, the content page for Canvas Module 1. I'll have my actual content, so what I am writing in the lesson, whatever your lesson is about. And then I have my video, and you will notice that if I click on the video, it will play right in the Canvas content page. So that is one way to add a video to your content page. Or if I go back to edit, I can take this out. And there is an HTML editor. And for this, you don't really need to be that HTML savvy. All you need to do is go back to your video, whether it's coming from YouTube or Vimeo or wherever you're pulling it from, and go to the embed code. And you'll notice it gives you this nice iframe code that I'm going to copy over. I'll bring it over back to my content page, and I'll click HTML editor. And right in here, I am just going to paste that HTML code and hit save. And so you'll see that the video displays differently than if you were to just copy over the URL. So it's almost personal preference in how you want to display your video in Canvas. So that is the basics of adding a content page. You can add a bunch of content pages. to your module. So I'll just go back so we can visualize that, and I will add a second page, content, page 2, and then insert content here. And maybe you want to link to that video. You can just go and click link, and I'll go back over and copy this link. And then you can notice that you can add alt text. That is definitely helpful for your screen readers. So this is a video on how to embed videos in Canvas. And then I'm going to insert it, and then I will save. And so you can see this, this content page has the video set up as if you were copying over the link like we tried the first time. So now that we have content pages, let's add some activities to our first module. So a very common activity is discussion forums, and we see this a lot in online learning. So all we need to do is click on discussions, and we want to add a discussion. And so we're going to title this just Module 1 Discussion. And you can see that suggestions come up in my title box, and that is just because I have a number of other courses that I've created content for. So you'll see those suggestions as you start to work more and more in your Canvas sandbox. So I like the content page. We have a text box here where we can enter in some instructions. So I'm just going to say insert discussion instructions here. And so, for example, you can talk about what you're expecting in the discussion forum, give the reader, your learners, some prompts that they should respond to. You can even say things like, you know, you want an initial post by a certain date. These are all decisions that need to be made by you as the teacher. So we have our instructions there, and now we have some options. So if we want our learners to read an extra file or to see an extra image, we can choose the file option just as if you were uploading a file with any other software. And then we have some really neat options here. So I usually allow threaded replies to happen, and that just makes it easy in case someone wants to respond directly to a statement or to some discussion that someone has already started. This users must post before seeing replies. Now this is another up to you sort of option as a teacher. So some teachers like their users to think up their own post something, and then once they do that, they can see what the rest of the class has done. Or you can allow your students to, you know, skim through the discussion forum, see what other people have written, and allow that to maybe formulate their ideas. So there is the option. The users must post before seeing replies. I usually have my discussion forums graded, but that is up to you. And I also allow the liking feature. This is something that I do enjoy. It's much like Facebook. If you like something that a user has said, you can like that post. So not only can you comment directly back to it, but you can like it and show that the original creator of that post, that people are liking what they said. So we can add a grade point mark for this discussion. So I'm just going to make this discussion worth 15 points. And you can also notice down here that we can change the way that the discussion form is graded. So we can do it by percentage, complete or incomplete letter grade, GPA, or points. I usually stick to points, but again, that's up to you. I am going to make this an assignment, and I'm not going to require any peer reviews or things like that. But as a teacher, you can also make your discussion available only during certain times. So If you want this due by a certain date, if this discussion is going to end at a certain date, we can add a due date, and we can also add a time. So, if you want it done by Friday, by 11:59 p.m., you can write that in there. These are all options that are available to you, and you can also make it available from certain dates. So if it's only going to be available from a Monday through Friday, or maybe a Saturday through Friday, you can make these things your own. And so after you have your first discussion ready, all we need to do is hit save. And now your module 1 discussion is ready. And so one other type of assignment that I want to show you how to create is if you have an assignment that requires someone to submit like a Google Doc. So if we are like doing a reflection of some sort and you're writing that in Google or in Word or in Apple's Pages, however you want that done, there is a way to create that assignment. So we can just go directly and click on assignments. I'm going to add another assignment. And so you'll notice right away that this is different. I created the discussion just by clicking on the discussions tab. You can also create a discussion by clicking on the assignments tab, but I find it easier to be able to create a discussion just by clicking on the discussions tab. So like I said, I'm going to make this a module 1 Google Doc assignment. And so I can insert again the directions here and what is expected. And so here we still have our same options. How many points is it worth? Do I want to assign it to a certain group? And I'm just going to leave that as assignments for now. How do I want to display the type of grade that they can get? I'm going to keep it as points and still leave it as 15. And now here is the interesting part. So the submission type. So our learners will be submitting this assignment online. So we want to make sure the online is checked off and highlighted. And here are the options, different ways that they can submit it. So they could submit it as a text entry. So much like you have up here with this blank box that has insert the directions here, they can have that option and just type their response into that box, or perhaps copy over their response from a Word document into that box. Or they could share a website URL. So Google Docs is really nice because you can share URLs for people to view your files. So they can go and grab the shareable link from their Google Doc and post that into the assignment, or they can upload a file. So this is helpful if you're like uploading a Word file or a PDF for the teacher to grade. And so I'm not gonna do peer reviews or group assignments or anything like that. Again, we have our assignment due date options. I'm not going to worry about that for now, but again, you have these options as a teacher, and I will go down here and click save. All right, so we now have 2 content pages for our first module, and we have 2 activities that we want done. And we can view these by clicking on the modules tab. And so you'll notice that, again, we have our first module is called Practice 1 up here, but we have nothing that we have created is viewable yet. So we need to add those in. So if we click the little plus option next to the module title, and the first thing I'm going to do is enter the content pages. So we have a bunch of options here. I'm going to go down to content page, and I am going to, I believe it was content page for Canvas module 1. I'm also going to select content page for page 2. Now I'm going to add those in. Now you notice that the page 2 is now first in the list, and we can just simply reorder that by clicking on the left and dragging it down. And now I also want to add in my 2 activities. So I'll go back here. I know that there was a discussion, and so I can see my discussion there, but I can also see that discussion, like I said earlier, by clicking on assignments. And Oh, I guess not. I guess I just need to click on discussions because I created it as a discussion. So I'll click on the discussion, I will add it, and I will also add my Google Doc activity that I created in the assignments and add that over. Now, for organizational purposes, and to make it kind of easy on the eyes, something I like to do is indent these assignments just so it's easy to notice that there is a difference between the content pages and the assignments. And your viewers, your learners in your Canvas course will also see this. So it allows them to kind of notice that there is a difference between the content pages and the module and the activity pages just by the indent. So if we click on our content page, this is how students will mostly get around in the course. And I'm sure as you guys are students, you have experience, going to modules and clicking on the content page. So again, we see our first content page. We can navigate down the bottom right hand corner to our second content page. And then we should have the activities. Our next first is the discussion, and you'll eventually see your students' replies here in this discussion, as well as a space for a Google Doc submission. And something that you may want to do for any assignment that you create is add a rubric. And these are rather intuitive. Canvas has kind of made it nice and easy, but as you see, we can title our rubric. So this can be Google Doc assignment. And then we can add in what we are expecting. So description of criterion. So, I've seen stuff like learners use correct grammar and spelling when creating their reflection or whatever they're doing. And we can add multiple criterion. So I'm going to just add 3 since our original assignment was worth 15 points. We can also click these 2 arrows here, and this will allow us to see all 0 through 5 points available, and we can just go in and edit these. So we can make this 1 and this 2, 3, 4, and so on. And we can add in a description there. And then see our total points here on the right side. If you don't want to have these automated descriptions right here in the middle, you can say that you'll write free-form comments when you're grading the assignment. And I'm going to use this assignment for grading and create a rubric. And so now we have a rubric for this assignment. Your students can see the rubric. Pretty simple and easy stuff so far. So one of the things that may make it easier for your students when it comes to navigating the module is linking to the activity. So I have my content pages, and let's say this second content page was directions for your activities that you're going to have, or extra directions for your activities that you will have for this module. I can go back up here and edit the content page, and maybe I want to leave a note down here in the bottom that is relating to the activity. So activities for this module. So the first thing is a discussion. So I'm just going to write down discussion forum, and our second was a Google Doc activity. And Canvas makes it really easy to link to these items. So as you noticed, when we were navigating through the modules as if we were the learners, there is that next and previous button in the lower right and left-hand corner respectively. If we just want to link to these, we can remember that our discussion forum, we can go to the right side and click on discussion and just click 1, discussion forum. And same with our Google Doc activity, we can go to our assignments, find that find that Google Doc activity that we created and link to it that way. So if it almost acts as a shortcut if you want to have reminders in your content pages. Also, there are files and images options here. So if we wanted to put an extra PDF reading that we wanted to have our learners do, we would go down to the files option, which is right below pages, and click on it. Let me save this content page first. And so we can click on the files option, upload that PDF or that extra reading or image that you want to have your students do. And then you can just go back to the content page that we were just in, or whatever page you want to insert it to, and edit and say something to the fact like, don't forget to read this PDF. Go over here, click files, and you can find that file option in the list here. And same that you link to the activities, it's the same way. So again, I'm just going to save here. And one of the final, we're nearing the end here. So one of the final things, as our course becomes ready for our learners to enter, we need to add people, and we need to know how to manage the people in the course. So that's as simple as clicking on the people option. And you'll notice that I am already listed in this course because it's my sandbox. So you will already be listed in your sandbox. That means you have editing rights, and I have the role of a teacher, which allows me to edit anything I want. So the teachers in the course have free access to whatever they want in their sandbox. So I am going to add a student now, and I'm sure most of you know Dr. Kirby. So I'm going to add Dr. Kirby in. It's easy as typing in his user ID. And so you will be provided with a list of your learners' user IDs, so you can add them. I'm going to retrieve the user, and Canvas will come back with the name of this person, so you can double check and what role do you want them to be. So like I said, I'm going to have this person be a student just in this example. I will add them as a user to the course. And now they are officially added. So when you go back to people, you should see that student is now in your course. All right, so now that our course is almost ready to run, there is one thing we need to make sure that we do, and that is publish our course and publish the content. So you'll notice there is a cloud, a grayed out cloud with an X through that. As soon as we click that, everything should turn green. So this means that all the content, once the content is turned green, it is now viewable to our learners. And so our learners can come in, they'll be able to see this when they click on the module tab and work through what's required. All right, so a couple of final touches here. First is grades. And so I'm sure that you are going to be assigning grades to your learners. And the types of grades that you assign are all up to you, but like we did earlier here is we set up two different assignments, a discussion assignment and a Google Doc sort of submission assignment where the learner can submit any type of file that they want. And I am going to assign grades. So Canvas makes it relatively easy to type in grades here. We can both just click on that little dash, and you'll notice 15 comes up, and I can type in any number that I want. Dr. Kirby did rather well on this assignment on the discussion, so I'm going to give him a 15, for instance. But you'll notice that if I do that, I don't really leave any feedback. So if we click this little button in the upper right-hand corner of the grade box, we get sort of a better view where we can type in a grade and we can add a comment. However, there is an even nicer way, and this will be nicer when you have 10 people in your course, or 15 or 20. The more people in your course, I find it to be easier to use SpeedGrader. So I'm just going to click on more details in SpeedGrader. I'm able to assign him some points here. Oops. 15, and I'm able to add some comments. So you did very well on this assignment. You're and breaking down his responses, and however you want to respond to his work, you can add that in the comments section. You'll also know that here on the left, it says this student does not have a submission for this assignment. Well, that's obvious because Dr. Kirby hasn't been in this course yet. But when he does make his discussion forum responses, they will all appear in this left pane. So you'll be able to see them at the same time that you're grading his assignment, which makes things nice and easy. Now, if you didn't want to leave a comment in this text box, you could also attach feedback, or you could add in a video or audio feedback. The one problem that I have experienced with the audio or video feedback is it doesn't always save. So you may want to have a backup option if you choose to do audio or video feedback. And like I said, the speed grader view is nice when you have multiple people in the course when it comes to grading assignments, because you can click right up here in the upper right and all your students will be listed. So you'll just be easily able to go to the next person in the list to grade their assignment. So I'm just gonna, submit a brief comment here. Well done on your assignment. Submit, he'll get his feedback, and I can exit out of this. And then same thing here for the Google Doc assignment. You'll remember that we created a rubric. So we can view the rubric and add in our points and save that. And you'll notice that it automatically updates his grade. I can add extra comments if I want, and then he can see his grade. Now, I just want to briefly mention something. If you don't want your students to see your grades until all the grades are complete, so if you're grading assignments and you want to make sure that every assignment is graded before the students get their feedback, we have this option. If you click on the lower right-hand drop-down menu on the assignment itself, it says mute assignment. And so if I mute that, I can then go through and grade all these assignments, and none of your students will receive updates that their assignment has been graded. So I can grade all of them, and then when I'm ready, I can go back to this little drop down and unmute the assignment. And what that will do is once you unmute it, the grades will not only be released in Canvas, but the students will get an email sent to their PSU webmail that the grades have been released and that they can check their grades and see them. All right, so one final thing I want to mention here before we end this little tutorial is how to communicate easily in your course. So as you know, there is the webmail option or the Canvas course communication option by clicking on inbox. But if I click on my menu here on the left, I can also go to announcements. And I love to do announcements because they're relatively quick. They're intuitive to figure out because they're just like our content pages, our activity pages. They're set up in the same way, and they automatically go to the whole class. So I can just add an announcement and say I want to provide some instructions. So module 1 instructions, and like here are your instructions for module 1. And kind of give an overview of what the module will be about. I have the same options almost as I did with the content. I can say users must post before they see this. I can allow them to like it. So if you want users to be able to want users to like your stuff, that is up to you. I can also delay when I want this to go out. So if I have like a 2-module lesson and I prepared an announcement for module 2, but it's still module 1, I can prepare this announcement early and then have it sent out on a date and time when module 2 will start, for instance. But I don't want to do that. It's not a big deal, so I'm going to get rid of delay posting. And so as soon as I hit save, whatever I have here will be sent to the people in your course. This will automatically not only be posted in Canvas, but this will also be sent to their PSU webmail. All right, so we've gone over a bunch here. I hope this tutorial kind of gives you a basic overview of some of the functionality in Canvas, and I hope it helps you when it comes to building your own micro teaching lessons.